following episode may contain inappropriate material. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another fantastic and fun episode of Mattalk, the only podcast that loves to pay homage to everyone's favorite courtroom drama, Matlock. It's John, joined by Jason. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. Lulu's back in town. Did you know that?
So I've heard Lulu's back in town. Oh, my. We'll talk more about Lulu and that fantastic song in a little bit. How you been, man?
I've been great. I bought the complete series. I think I said that on the last episode. So this is my first time cracking into that.
Oh, okay. All right, gotcha. Yeah, things over here, same old, nothing really new. But I understand we have an email from someone. Would you like to talk about that real quick, Jason?
I would love to. It's from Catherine Pekowski. I'm sorry if I butchered that last name. It says, "Hi, I would like to join in as an avid fan."
And we've been thinking about how we're going to do this. We would like to have more fan interaction. So I don't know. We've talked a little bit about maybe, offering up for somebody like Catherine who wants to be on. Maybe we watch an episode and then maybe have them come on as a guest. We're not sure, but Catherine, we have your contact info, right, Jason?
Yeah, I have her email address right there.
There you go. So maybe we'll be in touch real soon, and maybe you can join the madness, as we like to say over here at Mattalk. I don't know if it's really madness, but it seemed like the right thing to say, right, Jason?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lulu's back in town.
Stupid Lulu. All right, well, you know what? Let's get right on into it. Let's not waste any time. Let's jump on in because there's a lot to talk about in this episode. So, Jason, are you ready for our opening statements?
I absolutely 100% am.
All right, well, here we go. The episode that we're going to be talking about is entitled The People versus Matlock. The original air date is March 24th, 1987. And I'm going to be honest, Jason. While researching the guest stars, there's not too many very notable guest stars. Not disrespecting them, but just some of the more bigger names that we've had in the past. This one's more of a kind of a low-key guest star list. And in fact, I'm going to talk about two of them because they are probably the two main characters. And we're going to be talking a lot about them. Main character number one, played by Arthur Rosenberg. And that character is, of course, John Linford. Arthur has appeared in many other projects, such as a couple episodes of The Incredible Hulk, Cujo, playing the role of Roger Breakstone, probably most known for playing Captain and then later Commissioner Kane on the police drama Hunter. He was Dr. Epphart in many episodes of Beverly Hills 90210. And I'd like to just highlight probably what is, for me, a great credit to have. He played the role of Doctor in the TV movie Captain America 2, Death Too Soon. Jason, you are obviously familiar with these terrible superhero shows that were TV movies back in the 70s, right?
I have not seen the original Captain America films. I want to so bad. And I think this guy would be worth reaching out to. I think we need to get him on Mattalk because he was on Matlock 3 times. He was also on The Incredible Hulk. Doesn't look like he has done much acting since he was on JAG, but it looks like he's still around. So I would love to talk to this guy. I think we need to make it happen.
Okay. All right. There you go. You've heard it first. Breaking news on this episode of Mattalk. We're going to do our best to try to talk to Mr. Arthur Rosenberg. I vaguely remember as a kid some of those made-for-TV superhero movies. I have later on in life seen the original Captain America. It's pretty bad. I didn't know there was a sequel, to be bluntly honest. Totally unaware that there was a sequel to that fantastic Captain America movie. I think that one was in 76 or 77, but this one is in 79. We may have to watch that.
I've seen the 90s Captain America movie. I didn't know there was 70s movies until a few years ago.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about our second guest star who's playing a very, very important character, Alan Blumenfeld, who plays Harry Craven. Now, Jason, he's appeared in several episodes of Family Ties as George Ballack. And I know you're a big fan of Family Ties. Do you remember that bit character or no?
I do not. I'd have to see a picture.
Well, he's also appeared in the NBC show Heroes as Maury Parkman and has also appeared in Gilmore Girls as Rabbi Barons. And he has a whole list of other credits to his name. But we're going to see quite a bit of Alan playing the role of Harry Craven.
I remember him from Heroes. Yeah, this guy's been in quite a bit of cool stuff. Murder One, Diary of a Serial Killer, NYPD Blue. This is another guy. I might have to add this guy to our list of people to talk to. You know, I love talking to the actors that were in all the old shows.
I know. That's why we're doing this show.
No trifecta. He wasn't on Murder, She Wrote, but he was on Perry Mason and Matlock.
Okay. Very few do the trifecta. Very few.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, we do have a little bit of somber news to mention before we move on to the main part of our episode. This episode, The People vs. Matlock, will mark the last appearance of Linda Purl as Charlene Matlock.
Yeah, the phasing her out has been going on for the last few episodes we've done. And when they mentioned she was going to Miami, I knew I wasn't going to see her again.
And for those of you that are joining us here, maybe over the last couple of weeks, we did get a chance to talk to Linda Purl. So please go back to anchor.fm/Mattalk or through our Facebook page. Find that episode. It was really fun. Really enjoyed chatting with Linda Purl. We talk about why she was phased out as Charlene and, some of the ins and outs of things that went on behind the scenes. So give that a listen, please. We would really, really appreciate it. And hey, maybe if you've already heard it, go back and listen to it again, right?
Yeah, why not? I've listened to it a few times, and I'm the one who did the interview, so definitely check it out.
There you go. I mean, we're not biased or anything, but definitely check it out. So, all right, Jason, with that, are you ready to give an opinion, your opinion, and nothing but your opinion, so help you?
I do.
Then it's time to say it with me, Jason. Testify!
Testify!
You were really late on that. But all right, here we go. Let's jump on into it. The plot is a man is accused of killing a potential union president, and Ben is accused of taking a bribe. As I always do, mention these opening scenes, especially if they're good. And I like this one, man. It was the courtroom drawings, of the case. Of course, set to the tune of that lovely, lovely song. Could you do a few bars for us, Jason, please? That's not Lulu's coming back in town. What are you doing? Anyways,
I got really excited that I got to see Lulu's back in town. Yeah,
there you go.
Lulu's back in town. Yeah. Does that song have any other lyrics?
I don't know. It was a humdinger, all right. That's all I can say.
Is it a real song?
Maybe. I don't know.
Yes, it is by Thelonious Monk.
Oh, Thelonious Monk is a very famous jazz performer, I should say. Do they do the courtroom drawings anymore? Because I don't know if I've seen any recently when they have had like a court case on the news or something. Do they still do that?
I don't know. That's a fascinating question because I loved those court drawings. I was even thinking to myself, like the print of Matlock with the chair. I was like, I kind of want that.
I said the same thing. I want that for my office. That would be awesome to have. All right, our very next scene after the opening scene is that we have several silent scenes of men arguing, which then leads to the shooting of one Dan Keaton in his office, and then the body is found at a construction site. By the way, that first scene at the construction site, though we don't know his name, but we're introduced to a gentleman named Abe Delroy, and man, he seems to be like the boss you don't want to work for. More on that in a little bit, but I'm just going to throw that out there put it out in the atmosphere for right now. Jason, what do you think of our first introduction to Matlock in this episode? He is defending Gerald O'Hara, who's accused of killing Dan Keaton. And Ben makes the comment that he is up against the toughest, most ruthless prosecuting attorney that he knows. And then we go right to a jump cut of Julie March. I thought that was pretty funny. What did you think?
I enjoyed that as well. I like that. So we get the murder, and then we skip everything that we would normally get in Matlock, and then we're suddenly at the trial.
Yeah, I like that too. I thought it was a change of pace that, was very, very, very good. I also too love the little bit of the rivalry between Julie and Ben. I think that works. It adds another layer to the relationship, so I dug it. However, the judge has requested that Julie and Ben meet in his chambers, and it is there in which Ben is accused of jury tampering or taking bribes. Of course, Ben is outraged, as we kind of predicted he would be. And Julie does her best to stand up for Ben. And it is revealed that the trial of Gerald O'Hara will continue despite an investigation into Ben's possible misbehavior. I'm going to ask you, changing the pace a little bit, changing things up on this episode. What did you think of Ben being under investigation for some wrongdoing?
I mean, it's different.
You're not a fan?
I liked it. No, I liked it. It's just, I don't know. I think a reputation would speak out a little bit more. I feel like the police would do a little bit more investigating than just trial the next day, which is what it felt like. It probably wasn't the next day they started the trial on Matlock. Yeah, I just feel like they'd investigate a little bit more because everybody knows who he is.
I agree with you on that. And I also feel like because later on we're going to find out, that there's some twists and turns to it. And I feel like I don't think enough was given to the fact that he's been an outstanding lawyer for what appears to be 20 some odd years, 25 years, 30 years, who knows? Mm-hmm. And I think that probably should have been taken into consideration. I'll talk more about the cops when we get to that one particular twist. But they do discuss that the juror number 7, Harry Craven, is the one that is making the accusations. And then at the elevator, there's a great scene where even though Julie and Ben are talking about, they're, going out and maybe having some lunch and meeting with clients, there's still that little bit of that jab that they're throwing back and forth, a little bit of trash talking, which again is what I so enjoy about their relationship.
Yeah, I agree. I like their back and forth.
In the next scene, we meet John Linford, and he suggests to O'Hara that he fire Ben Matlock, but O'Hara won't do it. First of all, my question is, what authority does this Linford dude have to tell this guy who is apparently in the union and kind of a bigwig? He's not the union president because that's John Linford, but what the hell, man? Who has the right to tell that dude to drop Ben Matlock?
He doesn't. He is saying that this could taint your defense, which I don't even know how that would happen. Yeah, he decides to stick with Matlock.
Yeah, as he should, man. As he should. It's later revealed that Craven tells the judge that Ben gave him $50,000 to help his client out by maybe not telling the truth on the stand. Craven produces an envelope with the return address of Matlock's offices on the upper left-hand part of it. And so therefore the O'Hara trial is ruled a mistrial and the evidence is turned over to the cops. Okay, so let's discuss.
Couldn't they dust that for Prince? They had that then.
Yeah, thank you. I thought that was really flimsy. Oh, well, his return address is on. Yeah, couldn't anybody write that on there or get the stamp and stamp it on there? I mean,
handwriting analysis, fingerprints. I know he could wear gloves, but there could be another pair of fingerprints on there that would show that Matlock had nothing to do with it. And there might not be, but at least mention it. Yeah.
And the print of the return address, even in 1987, I'm sure you could find a typewriter could match that up, or whatever, some type of printing service. Here's my other question. Okay, the evidence is turned over to the cops. We don't see any police officers whatsoever. No, that goes nowhere. It just oh yeah, we're going to turn the evidence over to the cops and then we'll go from there. I was okay.
Trial. So, you're on trial now.
let's move on and let's talk about going back to the offices of Ben Matlock. And he's very frazzled, and he dispatches Tyler to get information on Abe Delroy, who, as I mentioned before, is the foreman at the construction site. And here we go. The phasing out begins. Charlene returns from her trip to Miami to help her father. First thing that came to my mind was, in a previous episode, she was in Philadelphia. Now she's in Miami. Is she on tour? Like, what is that all about? Right?
Lawyer on tour.
I guess. I don't know.
She's a traveling lawyer.
Which I guess is better than a traveling salesman, I guess. But
the writer's writing her out of the show.
I really think in this whole, and I'm going to give the description, but this whole method of writing her out is horrible. It's terrible. And it's clearly evident that there was some bad feelings among probably the writing staff, the production company, the producers, maybe even Andy Griffith himself, just the way in which they just kind of sweep her right under the rug. Julie arrives to say that she's going to defend Ben, and this upsets Charlene, so she goes into her office. Ben tries to smooth things over by explaining that if Charlene loses, she will never forgive herself. She needs to go to Miami and win that case.
Yeah, Linda, you need to go to Miami because you're not on the show anymore, and I can't have you defending me because you're not on the show anymore.
See, this is my thing. Look, it's her last episode. Why can't she be second chair counsel? Why can't she just have a couple more minutes in the episode just to kind of like wrap things up? Like, this was just the worst way. And again, now that we know the story, probably it's such a red flag as to there had to have been some misgivings about, the contract between Linda and the producers and everything. I just thought this was a terrible way. Don't even bring her back if you're going to do this. Just leave her off in Miami. Just say it as a throwaway line and move on. I felt like this is really just, I don't know, disrespectful. I don't know.
Well, from what she told us, she was supposed to be second. She was supposed to be the co-star of the show.
Right.
And we never really saw that. Maybe a little bit at the beginning, but her part was diminished smaller and smaller and smaller as the first season went along. And Tyler's role got bigger and bigger and bigger as the season went along.
Mm-hmm. Well, with that, we're going to move on to a scene where Ben and Julie are having coffee outside. And Julie expresses how she is going to defend Ben. And Ben was a little suspicious because, you're the assistant DA. Isn't this a conflict of interest? But she, oh, no, it's all good. I took a leave of absence. Yeah, I took a vacation, yada, yada, yada. We'll come back to that because that is going to be another twist that we need to talk about at the end. But Tyler shows up at Craven's home. Man, oh man. He intimidates the crap out of him, doesn't he?
Yes.
But it was an awesome intimidation, I gotta say. Only in the flair and style that Tyler Hudson could do it, man. It was I enjoyed that. I thought that was pretty comical. Kind of chuckled a little bit on it.
Tyler was on point in this episode.
Oh yeah, indeed.
Full shenanigans from Tyler Hudson in this episode.
Oh, indeed, my friend. All right, John Linford takes Ben on a tour of the office and shows him the massive room of PCs that handle all of the money for the union, explaining that the money goes to the bank, and then from the bank, it's brought over here in some electronic transfer, and no way anybody could steal money from the union. It is at this point, I will be honest, it is at this point, Jason, and I don't know, maybe you agree with me, you don't. I started getting a little bit suspicious of Linford.
I thought for a second, before I started getting suspicious of Linford, that Ben's client actually did it.
Really? O'Hara?
Yeah.
Why? What made you think that?
Because she joined him, I thought maybe they're going to find out that he was guilty. I thought that was going to be the twist. But then again, I'm reading too deep probably into this.
Oh, you mean when Julie joined the team, so to speak? Oh, okay. All right. Well, we're going to go back to Abe Delroy. Does this dude do nothing but yell at his workers? Because that's all it seems that he does. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I mean, multiple scenes on the construction site, and all he's doing is, hey, you're not on break. Let's go. Get that stuff done. Rah, 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 rah. He just seems like that's all he does all day long. Ben buys a high-priced tuna sandwich and milk combo. I want to vomit right now after saying that. Can I just tell you, I am no fan of tuna fish, but that combination with milk makes me want to puke my guts out right here as we're recording this episode. Sounds like the most disgusting lunch you could have.
Tuna and milk?
Yes.
Fine. I like tuna.
Okay, fine. But you're going to wash it down with thick milk?
I mean, it wouldn't be my ideal situation. I don't drink milk really at all anyway. I mean, it is what it is.
Gross. By the way, here is my other note. Isn't Tyler supposed to be following Delroy and he's not there? Like, that's what Ben sent him out to do. Yeah. And he's like,
one job, Tyler Hudson, one job.
Well, you know what, though? But he does that one job very, very well in this episode, does he not?
Yes, he does.
All right. We are going to be blessed once again. Jason, go ahead and tell us. Sing it to us, man. Who's back in town?
Lulu's back in town. Yeah. Lulu's back in town.
Ben and Julie are over at the restaurant. I believe it's Ray Templeton's. I don't believe it's been named yet, but I believe that that's the inference that we can make. And Ben finds out from the waitress, that O'Hara was taking bribes from Delroy, and Keaton knew about it. Boy, that waitress seemed like she didn't really want to get involved, and she kind of was bullied into coughing up that info, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, can't say no to Ben because he's not going to let go. He's like a pit bull. You know something, he's going to get it out of you.
He is. He didn't have to try very hard.
Right, he did. Yeah, right. With her, he didn't. He was like, come on. Okay, blah, 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 blah. All right, speaking of that one job Tyler has to do, he's continuing to make phone calls and intimidating Craven, which, by the way, he used his car phone. So that phone call, which was probably 32 seconds, that probably cost him $85 in 1987.
Like my grandfather had one of those. He kept buying a new one because his kept getting stolen out of his car. I think it was $5 a minute.
You're out of you got to be out of your mind to use that. You better use it sparingly.
I'm going to check that. I'm going to fact check that because that's something that is fascinating.
Well, I mean, I don't know what to say. I feel like I could hear my own parents going, John, you only use the car phone if it's an emergency. Don't be just picking it up just to call your friends while you're driving around town.
The phone was $1,400 back in the day. I'm trying to find out how much it was per minute. Yeah, and in today's money, it would be $5,665.
$5,600.
Yeah.
Holy cow!
$5,600.
Wow, man.
And the average cost per minute was $29.
What did you just say? Did you say $29?
I'm fact checking that. It's Google just shot that number up real quick.
All right, okay.
It seems super high to me. $26? There's no way.
I don't know.
Oh, here we go. It was $50 a minute or a month plus 40 cents a minute.
Okay, that sounds a little better. I was going to say $29. You know what? Hey, if you're listening at home and you had a car phone, let us know about it. Tell us how it works because we don't know. We have no idea.
Yeah, I would have been 5.
Yeah, I mean, I would have at this point in 87 was 12. Anyways, so you know what, Jason? Where can they let us know if they have any information about a car phone? Where can they let us know about it?
Oh, it's easy. Lulu's back in town at gmail.com.
That is not the email address.
It is Ben Mattalk, BenMattalk at gmail.com.
Or you can leave us a message over on the Facebook page at Mattalk Podcast. Or you can even find us on Twitter at Mattalk_podcast. And yeah, drop us a line. Let us know how this fabulous technology back in 1987 worked. One thing we didn't talk about is Tyler's scuffle with Craven at the mailbox. Over the package, man. Over that one stinking package. But it still ends up in the slot. And that forces Tyler to wait around to try to talk to the mailman. And I'm talking about the mailman, not Carl Malone. He's not in the episode. Although, That would have been a sweet cameo, though, if he was the mailman, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Although I don't think the producers of Matlock wanted to have NBA superstars on the show. But anyways, and the mailman, he ain't having it, man. You want this package? You got to go downtown. You got to fill out some forms, man. So no matter how much you try to sweet talk me and tell me about your troubles with Sicily, sorry, ain't happening. What'd you think about Tyler's scam that doesn't quite work out?
It's funny. It was a funny little bit. I knew it wasn't going to work out. Like, if the mailman had handed him the package, I probably would have rolled my eyes and rated this episode a lot lower than.
Yeah. We'll come back to another scam that doesn't quite pay off for Tyler as well. So Ben and Julie confront O'Hara, who he says that he's not going to talk in front of her because she's the DA. And this is where it's revealed that Julie quit the DA's office, right? Much to the surprise of Ben. Didn't kind of see that coming. I really didn't.
Well, she must really like Ben.
Yeah, I agree. She gave up her job for him to defend his honor.
For one trial.
For one trial, and your stupid brat kid can't do it, Ben. Ha! That's not kind. Charlene's been a great character. I shouldn't be so harsh on her. It's revealed that Delroy has a monopoly on the food trucks in the area, making $200,000 on this scam. And while he was taking that kickback, he says he doesn't kill Keaton. I didn't know that food trucks were that lucrative, man.
Yeah, they can be, especially if you're the only game in town. 10 miles to the nearest place.
Yeah, that's what the dude said. It was 10 miles to the nearest diner. I mean, Tyler poses as a postal employee to try to swipe the package at the post office, but he gets caught.
Get caught.
Yeah, he is striking out on these scams, isn't he?
Yeah. Real quick, though, do you think Matlock ended up buying the tuna sandwich?
I think, because I think he mentions in the courtroom scene that that they charged him, I think is the phrase. So, yeah, $4.25 for that tuna and milk combo.
I'm like, that's cheap.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm like, man, that's cheap.
You can't get that at Panera for under $8.
No, exactly. Panera, I want a tuna sandwich and some milk. That'll be $8.95. Anyways, all right, here we go. First courtroom scene. Craven actually has no witnesses to verify his story. Okay, that's revealed, and then Ben just blows up randomly. That's a damn lie. This guy's a jackass. That's a damn lie. This must have been the scene where Andy Griffith goes, I want to cuss a lot. And that's that he got his way.
Yeah, there's a lot of uses of the word damn and jackass in this episode, which is fine.
Which is fine, because I think that we've determined that term jackass is probably Ben Matlock's favorite insult. Well, as Julie and Ben talk about his outburst in court, Tyler arrives with a plan, which is to hide out and take pics of Linford getting his mail from his own P.O. box. So apparently Tyler's figured out, I guess they leave it up to us to kind of put two and two together, but he must have talked to the postmaster, explained the situation. They come up with this plan. So he takes the pictures as he's hiding in like this weird like wall that's not finished, and gets the evidence that he needs, that indeed Linford picked back up $50,000, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. Okay, this was at the time a completely ridiculous scene, but it did make some sense. Julie and Ben go back to the union headquarters, and then after looking around, Julie wheels Ben in an office chair like a child. Question number one, who let them into the building?
They didn't need to be let in. Ben's like a ninja.
I mean, I'm sure he probably like used some legal mojo, like, oh, I gotta look for evidence to clear my client's name, blah, 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 blah. But that was the first thing that popped in my mind, is like, who let them in? Because there's nobody there.
Who let Matlock in?
Oh, is that a new song? Maybe that'll be on the on season 2. Maybe we'll hear that one. Once Lulu leaves town.
Lulu left town.
Julie wants to remove herself from being the lead lawyer and let Ben take over, but he declines. And so then we go to our courtroom number 2 scene, where Linford admits that he was receiving money. All right, because he tries to say he doesn't know what Julie's talking about, but Julie has a warrant, and they opened up the package, and there's $50,000 in there. And the way that Craven reacts, I assume that Craven wanted to give it back because he felt bad. And so we are going to take a field trip, Jason. Everybody in the courtroom, get on the bus. We're going to the union offices.
Including the jury.
Including the jury, because that happens all the time in real life. Anywho.
Well, one thing that really bothered me about this scene is the jury's communicating with each other. They're not allowed to do that. Like, every time Matlock makes a point, they, like, whisper to each other, like they do in the courtrooms. You know, like what they do on TV shows, they have the people in the courtroom, like, when a big thing's revealed. Yeah, they have the jury doing that. They're not supposed to talk about the trial. There's no way that the entire jury was like suddenly, hey, how's your day going? You want to get lunch after this?
hey, did you hear Lulu's back in town? Well, so Julie recuses herself, and Ben takes over the case. So someone skimmed $50,000 from the union before it goes to the bank via the PCs. So Keaton knew it, and that's why he was shot. And it turns out the height of the office chair is a clue that seals Linford's fate. It's way too low for O'Hara to be sitting in it, so that means it's not the original chair. But it is the right height for Linford, which shows that that's the original chair in which Keaton was shot in. But the body was moved to another locale, so my question is this: wouldn't that be grounds enough for reasonable doubt to get Linford cleared of the charges? Because yeah, you're sitting in a chair. Yeah, it's the chair that the guy was shot in, but the body ended up in a construction site. So wouldn't you have to put Linford at the scene of the construction site? Or am I overthinking this?
You're overthinking it.
No, I've been accused of that many times. Well, anywho, flimsy evidence or not, this actually seals Linford's fate, and Ben is acquitted. He celebrates with Julie, and he drops the little hint that he got Julie back into the DA's office, and so they will be back to being rivals real soon. So, Jason, any notes that we overlooked before we get into our closing statements?
Not that I can think of.
All right, then here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for closing statements. This is the part of the podcast where we will rate this episode based on gavels. 5 gavels for an absolutely awesome episode, down to 1 gavel for a completely awful episode. We will justify why we gave this particular rating. Jason, would you like to go first?
I give this episode a 4 because I like the change of pace. It would have gotten higher. I don't like how they did Charlene in this episode. And the stuff with Jerry at the end really bothered me for some weird reason. And then Lulu's back in town. The song was driving me nuts because I just repeated the same line over and over again. But I like the change up in this episode. I like the dynamic between Julie and Ben. And I like Tyler Hudson's gimmicks. And we all know that Tyler Hudson's gimmicks always get the episodes a higher rating for me. So, yeah, 4 out of 5.
Wow, we are almost like identical. I gave it 4 gavels too. I really like the episode. I agree with you. I enjoyed I enjoy Julie and Ben's relationship and the rivalry. I've mentioned it multiple times in this episode.
Did you just say Jen? Like Bennifer? Did you just combine their names into one?
Yes.
John's team Jen.
I would change I would combine their last names. So there would be Marlock or Matwitch.
I like Matwitch. It's almost like Manwitch, which would make sense for Ben because he loves food.
Well, I enjoy their relationship and the rivalry. I like Tyler doing Tyler things, as I wrote in my notes. I also like kind of switching things around in the way in which we went right to the trial for O'Hara. The fact that Ben was on the other side of the law, I like that. I also felt that there was a decent motive for the killing. Like, oh yeah, you know that I'm scamming everybody. I'm going to go ahead and off you. I thought that was good. Again, I totally hated, absolutely despised, loathed the way that they wrote Charlene out. And likewise, as I just said, I thought that maybe the reasoning for, like, you shot the guy in the office, but then you moved the body, and that kind of was wonky. I didn't like that because, again, I would think that would cause some reasonable doubt that would allow Linford to get out of the charges. So, but yeah, 4 gavels. So, all right, Jason, with that, are there any podcasting projects you would like to plug real quick?
Big Geeks Podcast is live every Sunday. John joins us every other week or so. So come check that out. I've been told it's like audio whiplash. Also, you can tune in to the Scene Snobs channel and the Three Geeks Facebook for the interview series that we do on every Monday and Saturday at 5 p.m. Fun interviews. John sometimes does the interviews mixed with me, Justin, Max, and occasionally Dan. And yeah, our podcast feed has some exclusive stuff as well. So check us out, Three Geeks Podcast.
All right. You can check out my personal podcast called the PVDCast. It's available at the PVDCast.com or all those major podcasting outlets. And of course, it's also available through the Scene Snobs. Just go to thescenesnobs.com and check it out there. And while you're there, check out all the great podcasts. I mean, there's a giant catalog of like 30 some odd podcasts. Check it out, thescenesnob.com. And we need to remind you once again where you can get in touch with us if you'd like to do so. Facebook, it's at Mattalk Podcast. On Twitter, it's at Mattalk_podcast. And Jason, what's the email, Addy?
Tweet at us, hashtag Lulu's back in town. Also, email us, Ben Mattalk, BENMATTALK @gmail.com. If you just want to email us the words Lulu's back in town to let us know you're listening, abso-freaking-lutely. Also, something we've never mentioned before, and I'm going to start mentioning now, subscribe, leave a comment, let us know that you checked out this episode, rate and review, because as we're growing, you know, that helps. It helps so much. Just hitting a like button on Facebook or leaving a comment on a podcast feed, it's beyond helpful, and we appreciate it, all the support.
You said that hashtag was Lulu's back in town?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting that started. So there you go. All right, with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. We really do appreciate it. And with that, as they say in court, nothing further. Following has been a joint production of the Three Geeks Podcast and John Orlando Enterprises, LLC. Copyright 2021.